Hello to all the beautiful people of the world. The Asia Cup is about to kick off tomorrow, and we have two big things clashing against each other. That is Sri Lanka versus Afghanistan. We all know how both teams have fared in the recent past. But to discuss about what's going to happen in tomorrow's game, I have a Sri Lankan legend who's just played 100 Test matches, was a part of the 2014 T20 World Cup winning squad, couldn't play the 2011 50 overs World Cup due to an injury. Who knows what would have happened then? But he's a living legend. Welcome to the show, Angelo.
Thanks for the wonderful introduction, Anis. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you, Angie, and I'm so happy that you're a part of our small little show.
Yeah, pleasure to be a part of it.
Okay, Angie, without going further, we all know Sri Lanka's record in the Asia Cup in the past was phenomenal till the last few years. I was going through the record. Sri Lanka has won 5 times the Asia Cup after India, who's won 7. And there was a time where Sri Lanka was just running through India. They beat India in 97. They managed to beat India in 2004. They managed to beat India in 2008. And then they won in 2014 under your captainship. How is that memory still with you, the 2014?
Yeah, those are fun memories, actually. I mean, it's obviously, gives a lot of satisfaction. And to be a part of any winning team, will always cherish for your rest of your life. And going back to 2014, I remember we beat Pakistan, and it was a fantastic team performance by the entire squad. And those were fun memories.
And 2014 was a golden year where you all went on to win the T20 World Cup too, beating big boys India.
Absolutely. So we were actually choking before that. I mean, we lost a lot of finals, semi-finals, and we couldn't really get over that line. And we had a fantastic run in 2014 where we won almost every single game. I mean, we were there for like 3 months playing one day as first, and then test matches, and then one day as against Bangladesh, and then the World Cup happened. And it was a fantastic stay for us in Bangladesh. We almost won every single game, and we were able to beat India as well in the finals.
Well, who cannot forget that final 2014, where you all, in fact, that final was an emphatic victory. You all put India into bat, held them to 130, and then rest is history, as they say. Anyways, you know what? We can talk about past records, but we have to now come to this young Sri Lankan team, which done recently well in the last T20 World Cup, even though the results were not in their favor. But they looked a side which was coming up. And we saw recently that how they came back from behind to win the last T20 and then went on to win the one-day series as well as drew the test series.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a very good young squad, and we've got the firepower to obviously beat any team on our day if we play our best cricket. So yes, I mean, I would have liked if we could have played that same brand of cricket where we lost the series and came back and won the matches. If we had started off with that kind of fashion, I mean, we could have won those series as well. So yes, but nevertheless, there are lots of positives, improvements being shown by each and every person. And there are some, superstars coming through the ranks as well. We've got Wanindu Hasaranga, we've got Kusal Mendis, Mahesh Deekshana. So we've got a good young squad.
Like you talking about the guys like Hasarangas, the Tiksanas. Before I come to the bowlers, tell us about the batting, like the guys like the Gunidetaka, Pathun Nisanka, Kusal Mendis, we know has been there with you guys for a long, then Charita Aslanka, Bhanuka Rajapaksa. Tell us about them, because these are names who are just been now coming up and showing what talent they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said before, we've got a good young team, and the question for me is who is going to open the batting. So we've got the likes of Pathum Nisanka, Danushka Gunatilaka, and to me, I think Kusal Mendis should open. So the question is who's going to open with whom? So that is question number one. And then obviously we've got, Bhanuka Rajapaksa, Charita Salankas, Dhananjaya De Silva, Dasun Chanaka, all these guys in the middle and the middle low order who can really, take the bowling on. But to me, that crucial decision will be who's going to open, because I feel Kusal Mendis is really batting well. I mean, the recently concluded 2020 four-side tournament, he showed that as well. He's got a lot of runs opening the batting. So that is a big question that Sri Lanka has to answer.
I'm sure, they will find answers. And like you mentioned that in this current domestic matches, what Mendes did, I'm sure he's been a talent. But, sometimes we've seen Kusal Mendis' graph going up and down. When he came, he was like a star Sri Lanka had found. And suddenly his graph went down. But we really hope for the best that he does well. But tell us about this boy. We've seen Bhanuka Rajapaksa showed good glimpses in the IPL. How dangerous he is as a player?
Yeah, very dangerous, to be honest. He's got this natural flow of strokes. When he gets going, he takes the bowlers on, and then he can score some quick runs very quickly. And, you can get the team into a winning position. So I think he will play a, crucial role as well when it comes to the top order. I mean, my opinion is that he will bat in the middle order. Because he can clear the ropes any given time. So, we might as well use him in that middle order. But yeah, he really can, take the game away from any opposition, any bowling attack. He can, dominate if he gets going.
So you feel he doesn't require the power play to be explosive. He can do it even after the 6 overs.
Absolutely, because he's got the, power. I mean, the first 6 overs, you might as well use those guys who are using the pace, and then you have the power hitters, after the 6 overs, because if you clear, you don't have to really power hit as such, because even after the first 6 overs, if you find gaps, I mean, in 2014 we only had a couple of guys who can hit big sixes like Tisara Pereira and all that, but all the other guys like Mahela Javardhanas, TM Dilshans, Kumar Sangakkara's,
you're forgetting your name. You could hit big sixes, Angie.
Yeah, well, I still can. but those guys, I mean, they played some smart cricket. That's our brand of cricket. We can't play like any other team. So we won the World Cup by playing our brand of cricket. And I think TM Dilshan was never a power hitter. Mahela Javardhana, Kumar Sangakkara's. So they always used the pace. They hit those caps, ran hard, and they played smart cricket, and we still won. So you don't have to be a power hitter as such. If you are smart, and if you pick the gaps, if you hit the right bowler, take the right bowler on, you can still score runs.
Well, that's a very important point Angie has mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that you can play and win T20 cricket by playing smart cricket. A lot of time we've been talking about England playing the gungo cricket, India now adapting the new approach of going aggressive, but you can still win T20 cricket by playing smart cricket. Very valid point, Angie. I want to talk about one more player, which I've seen, who actually taking waves, Hasaranga, like he did very well for RCB. He's been doing well for Sri Lanka. I think he's the brightest talent Sri Lanka has.
He's just a superstar, isn't it? I remember when I was captain, he made his debut in Gaul and he got a hat trick. And he showed glimpses of what he could do. And he has turned out to be a fantastic cricketer for Sri Lanka. And he's just so confident. He knows that he can land the ball on where he wants it to be. And he has the variations, the pace, and he's smart as well. He thinks, he knows what the batsman is up to. And he's just a fantastic cricketer who has come a long way. And I mean, we've got a good supporting role for him as well, where Mahesh Theekshana comes into play. Unfortunately, Dushman Chamira is injured, whereas we had a few injuries, and the selectors had to replace a few other guys. But we still have a good enough bowling attack. So it's all about scoring those runs.
You mentioned about Hasranga, like he took a hat trick in the first series, and we all know what he can do. But I believe he's also got talent with the bat. Sometimes he doesn't do justice with that. Do you agree, or it's just that the format is such that you have to go from ball one?
Yeah, see, he's still learning. I mean, we are all still learning. I mean, no matter how many games you have played, you always learn. And the sooner he learns, he will become an extremely important all rounder. He's already that all rounder that we want. But I'm sure if it's just the execution sometimes and the shot selection. So you don't always have to think that you need to go hard from ball one. So it's just the thinking, the process, because you will be rushed in a T20 game. You still need to take a deep breath. You still need to think what's going to happen next, who I am going to take on next. Because not to forget, there's a partner as well. He can take the other bowler on. So you don't, as a player, you don't have to feel that you always have to take it on. You always have to take it on. No, sometimes you just go 20, 30 runs in about 10 balls. But sometimes you take time to sort of get going. So you have to understand what's happening at that time on that day, and to pick your bowlers. But I'm sure if he uh, execute it properly, and also shot selection, if he find that balance, I'm sure he will be very consistent with the bat as well.
Well, these are golden words. If you are not listening to what Angelo Mathews, the smart cricketer, is speaking, he's talking that sometimes you need to remember that you have a partner on the other end who can take the other bowlers on and take the game deep. And this is something which is what the likes of Angelo Mathews have done, the MS Dhonis have done, and that's why they have been so successful. Absolutely perfect. You mentioned about Mahesh Tiksana. This is one guy I've always seen him, the likes like you're talking about Mendes, who had that flipper, the carom ball. He's in the same mold.
Absolutely.
Ajanta Mendes.
He's as same as Ajanta Mendis. But I thought when Ajanta was playing, he was lethal as well. He was lethal. Well, Mahesh Tikshana is, but Ajanta had a lot more variations than Mahesh Tikshana. But Mahesh Tikshana will also learn, and he's obviously his idol. I would say Ajanta Mendis. He was this famous Asia Cup final when he ran through India. That was one of the moments that we will never forget. And Mahesh is also in the same mold, but as I said, he's still young to international cricket, and the challenge will be when the batters starting to read him. And when the batters start to read him, then the challenge is you got to think one step ahead of the batsman. And you've seen Sunil Narayan's, Ajanta Mendes. Even though the batsman started reading them, it's still difficult to get away with those kind of bowlers. So that is going to be the challenge for, I would say, all the bowlers going forward.
To hit the nail, let me remind all my viewers on the show, there was a bloke called Ajanta Mendes who blew India away with his variations and different type of deliveries. That the first time I heard what's a carom ball, and India was just blown away by one man, 6 for 13. And now we have Mahesh Tiksana, as Angelo Mathews says, he will learn, he will have more variations, but batters also will find a way out. We'll have to move a little more ahead than the batters think. That's what Angelo Mathews says, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Let us come to your captain, Dasun Sanaka. Tell us more about him.
Yeah, I think he's finding his feet, as a captain, and I mean, obviously he's had those exceptional innings over the last few series as well, where he can, really take on the bowlers, take the game away from the opposition. So he needs to sort of get away from his captaincy burden and just think as a player and what he can offer to the team with bat and ball both. I mean, obviously, when you captain, sometimes you think about me being a captain rather than me being a player. So, it happens to all of us. So then you get more pressurized, and then you don't have enough time to make those decisions. So you need to sort of sit back a little bit, not, it's there are 11 other guys, I mean 10 other guys with you, and you can always talk to each and every one of them. You don't have to think that you've got to do everything on your own, so because it can affect your batting and bowling, which has happened to me in the past. So you always think as a player whether you are the captain or not, and always look to try and contribute in whatever way possible towards winning. So Dasun will and have to play a major part in this Asia Cup and going forward. He's got a good team, and I mean, performances matters. I mean, individually and as a team. So you should always focus on the job at hand rather than looking too far ahead.
Well, this is an advice not only for Dashun as well as to all captains, is that when you are a captain, sometimes the captainship takes over your burdens, rather takes a toll on you, whether as a batsman or as a bowler. And I'm sure Shanaka would probably, show what talent is, because we've seen, as he said, that, he shows glimpses of what he can do with the bat. But one question I want to ask, I know Angelo Mathews was an all-rounder. He used to bowl that 4 tidy overs, bowl that smart overs. Do you feel Shanaka is underbowling himself?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he can bowl good Yorkers. He can bowl some good slower balls as well. So he's definitely underbowled himself. He can definitely contribute, even more with the ball. He's a good enough bowler, obviously. So he can bowl at least 2-3 overs. He doesn't have to bowl all 4, because you got the likes of Hasarangas, Mayas Dikshanas, and a few other guys. But so he can take control. He can he's got the experience. He's played enough cricket to sort of know what's exactly happening. So he can definitely bowl a lot more overs.
All right. I would like to ask about the guy who's just come back into the form of his life, Dinesh Chandimal. What has he been eating of late?
No, he's played really well. I mean, you saw against Australia and even against Pakistan. He's in tremendous form, and obviously the formats are different, but he's played some exceptional cricket over the past few months.
Fair point. Before I let you go, you're playing a dangerous side called Afghanistan. T20 is such an unpredictable format, but this is one format the Afghanistan team probably prefers more than anybody else, because they have the firepower, they have the spinners, and now they have a pace attack. How do you see Afghanistan?
Afghanistan, we've always never taken them light, because they can upset any team on any given day, and they've got experience in all 3 departments, I would say. So Nabi is obviously captain, but Rashid Khan, Mujibur Ahmad, and Gurbas, all these guys have played plenty of cricket all around the world, and we've played against them as well. So we know how dangerous they are. So we cannot relax against a dangerous Afghanistan team. We have to play our A game to win against them. And they've got a very good bowling attack. They've got an extremely good bowling attack. Spin heavy, obviously, but they've got that blend of youth and experience, we cannot take them light.
Again, a fair point that they have got a blend of youth and experience. They have Rashid Khan, they have Nabi, they have Gurbaz, they have, Najibullah Zadran. They're all dangerous players and they can beat any side on their given day. That's a fair point. So we should have a cracker of a game. I probably have to ask you one more question. India versus Pakistan. Whom do you give the edge in the first match coming the next day?
See, it's a toughie. It has always been a toughie because Pakistanis are very unpredictable. They can, as I always say, they can beat any team in any condition when they are going. But Indians have dominated actually over the past few years. So it's going to be a cracker of a game. It's I can't pick a team, or obviously, because as I said, Indians have dominated over the past few years, and Pakistanis have showed what they are capable of when they get going. So it's going to be a cracker of a game.
We all can't wait for it, Angelo. Uh, Absolutely pleasure to have you, and you have really put up your thinking hat. And I'm sure guys who will listen to this show would give their ears. It's easier said than done, but if you sometimes follow the big boys, you can deliver. Thank you, Angie.